Alright, gang, man, let's talk about Solo Leveling's art style. Because not gonna lie, if you're anything like me, you did not watch Solo Leveling for the plot. You saw some random look maxing dude running around with 2 daggers and a whole shadow army behind him just catching bodies left, right, and center. Then you probably thought, hold on, let me see what these animators be cooking. First, let's get into the color palette of Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling as a whole is drenched in darkness. It's all just dark tones. We talking black, navy, dark gray. Yeah, man, this whole show is for all you angry YNs out there. The color scheme as a whole is giving Black Air Force energy. But it's not just all dark and gloomy, because we have all these dark and moody backgrounds, and then suddenly
my sunshine.
You get hit with a flashbang out of a sudden, and then you start seeing neon blue lights all over the place like you accidentally popped a bean laced with fairy dust. But why would you as an animator ever decide on having such a huge contrast between colors? And why is it that it actually works? Well, basically, it sets the mood. The darker tones are basically there to stir up seriousness inside of you. They are there to convey that the story has high stakes. And then when action is about to happen and the powers activate, man, they're making sure that you see it. That's when all the shiny colors start blasting, and it basically draws you into whatever action is taking place. You can basically compare it to whenever you're walking inside a gamer's room and you see all the LED lights in the ceiling. You know they about that life for real. And bonus points if Jin Woo's eyes are glowing. You know he's about to stand on business and solo a whole dungeon by himself. And of course, you cannot talk about the color palette of Solo Leveling without talking about the lights and glowing effects. When it comes to both the anime and the manhwa, there's a heavy use of glowing effects. Like, bro, for real, there's so much glow. You might think Glorilla is the author of this whole show. For real, if your screen isn't melting your eyeballs at least once in an episode or a chapter, are you even reading or watching Solo Leveling? But I'm not gonna lie, this choice of animation might actually be genius. While some people might see it as like an oversaturation of the coloring effects. For me personally, it actually helps driving home the whole main character entrance or this main villain is about to crash out entrance. The oversaturation of the glowing effects and the colors actually crank up each scene to 100, bro. You see it every time, whether it's a boss fight or Jin Woo casually teleports into Aura Farm. The lighting effects make every single moment feel like a Marvel trailer. You know that scene is getting clipped and replayed, bro. Moving on to the line work and detailing. In both cases, I'm talking about the anime and the manhwa. Mwah. Chef's kiss, bro. There's not a single mistake. Or maybe there is. Everything's got that clean and crispy look to it. No sketchy half-done lines. No. This is perfection, bro. The author for real said, you're getting every single armor plate or every single monster tooth. Everything is in 4K, my G. No clutter. The author had bills to pay. It's amazing to read a manhwa or watch an anime where you don't have to guess your way to what you're looking at. One Piece. Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh, I'm just playing, man. When it comes to JJK, it's actually only the manga where the angles look kind of awkward sometimes. The anime is actually pretty sharp and detailed, but One Piece, bro, the manga, oh man, it can be cluttered sometimes. But for anime in general nowadays, anime can sometimes get lost in the sauce of trying to like show new motion in animation or new animation styles or lighting effects. But in Solo Leveling, they somehow managed to hit the sweet spot. With the crispy clean lines and smooth animation, they make every single fight feel expensive as fuck. You can tell this art has a high production value. Except it's manhwa, so it's most likely just one artist slowly losing sleep. Respect for that, bro, but could never be me for real. This YouTube shit already got me on the ropes as it is. But the details make the action feel heavy. When something hits, you feel it. Also the monster designs, straight out of your sleep paralysis demon's Pinterest board, bro. Like, I mean, the most infamous nightmare-fueled smile is literally from that show, bro. And using the tools of precise artwork to depict both the glorious and the most devious elements of the story is genius, because it basically just shows you this world ain't all sunshine and rainbows, bro. Like, for real, look at Jin Woo in the first couple of chapters. He got absolutely hoed. It took a bite out of his shoes. And when it comes to character designs, like, something I love about this show is they're not trying to hide the Jin Woo glaze. Like, don't get me wrong, everybody got their unique designs and unique powers, but let's be for real, my G, this is all about Jin Woo. Like, the results of this man's look maxing journey is insane. It gotta be studied. My homeboy here starts off by looking like a background character in some sad slice of life anime. And then fast forward a few arcs, broski's looking like a whole K-pop star who can bench press a whole dragon or something. As I've said so many times before, this is not the same nigga as we saw in the first couple of chapters. Funny enough, Jin is actually the only character who goes through this transformation. They do mention that a second awakening can have an impact on the person's appearance. But why this choice of character design is so genius is that you do not need a narrator to tell you he's leveling up, bro. His cheekbones sharpen every time he defeats a boss for real. And you don't just see his power up, you see him become a whole different nigga. It's visual storytelling 101, my G. Not gonna lie, it kinda slaps. Yeah, I know. I'm on board the Jinwoo Glaze train. And when it comes to the action composition, we've already talked a little bit about it. One thing I love about the manhwa specifically is that every fight is like a whole mixtape of cool angles, motion blur, and close-ups. It's all really giving we couldn't afford animation, so we're gonna make the panels move inside of your head, bro. It's cold. It's just like the action jumps out of the page. Like nothing is moving, but you feel it. So now to the point y'all probably clicked the whole video for in the first place. Which is better, the anime art style or the manhwa's art style? Let's try and decide this by making a short comparison. When it comes to the coloring, the manhwa has these darker elements with glow stick magic, whereas the anime, while still being dark, has more like real world cinematics to it. You could basically also say the manhwa is basically an edgy Instagram filter, whereas the anime could be seen as like this moody Netflix adaptation. It's really grounded, but it still has cinematics from the real world, you could say, or reminiscent of the real world. For the lighting, the manhwa has these big dramatic glows, whereas the anime again is more subtle but with more realistic shadow work. As I mentioned before, you could also see it as like getting hit with a flashbang when it comes to the manhwa, but when it comes to the anime, it's more like, let's keep it classy, you know, like let's not overdo it too much. For the character designs themselves, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've seen there are some slight changes in the design in the anime compared to the manhwa's original designs. For example, the shadows, they look a bit different. So when it comes to character designs, I would say the manhwa is more sharp and stylized, whereas the anime have kind of, I wouldn't say toned the designs down, but they're more like made them a bit more natural and focused on the emotion of the designs. I don't know if this makes sense. For the monster designs, I would say the manhwa is more terrifying than the anime. I would say the monsters are more like diet nightmare fuel, whereas manhwa is like no chill. I don't know what it is, I just feel like the anime designs for the monsters are like slightly nerfed. And when it comes to the fight scenes, the manhwa is stylish but still chaotic. It makes sure the panels guide your eyes, whereas the anime relies heavily on smooth motion and sound. So compared to the manhwa, the anime is more like a movie level hype. When it comes to the story itself, you could call this story emotion. The manhwa presents the opportunity to read at your own pace, whereas the anime, just like every other TV show, you are kind of forced to witness the events at a set pace. You can't really go back the same way you can read a manhwa panel again. I know this isn't fair to compare, but it's still a thing to take into consideration when it comes to the flow of things and how the emotion of the story impacts you as a reader or a watcher or viewer. For the anime, when it comes to the emotion, I would say the music sets the tone, sets the mood. The manhwa compared to the anime, I would say, is like, yo, let me reread this page 10 times. Whereas the anime is like, boom, hit you with the feelings, and then you're like, damn, that shit hurt. So to boil it down, I would basically say the manhwa is like reading a power fantasy fever dream. The Solo Leveling manhwa is all about big visuals and stylish storytelling, whereas the anime actually tones it down a little bit to make sure you feel the cinematic impact. But they're doing it without losing the sauce. The anime really has focus on driving in the emotion, whether it being fast-paced action or really hitting you in the feels when Jin finally wakes up his mom. They really drive emphasis on the emotion, and contrary to the manhwa, it don't just look cool, it also feels cool and feels good, you know what I'm saying? So the conclusion is the manhwa basically says, this looks too good to be free, bro. Whereas the anime more or less summed up in a sentence is like, this feels like a mid-story I accidentally got invested in because of the artistic choices. So in my opinion, when it comes to the art style, I would say the manhwa is a little bit better. The manhwa has the edge. It's a close match though, but I feel more enticed personally to jump into the manhwa based on the two art styles. But hey, that's just me in the end. But what do you guys think? Are you grasped by the original artistic choices of the Solo Leveling manhwa, or the juicy but nicely done anime adaptation? Let me know all of that in the comments. Hope you all enjoyed this little art style comparison video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. As always, remember to stay beautiful like my man Jin Woo. Whoa, pause, no fruity shit though. Alright gang, much love, peace.